The Pokemon franchise was a brilliant business move. Not only did Nintendo put out a great RPG, a massive fan base grew exponentially and continues to be a prominent force. Pokemon are everywhere. Cards, lunchboxes, plushies, games, bad TV shows that try to be anime. In fact, there are a few people that haven't heard of Pokemon. Even the older folks are like, "Them damn Pokemons, back in my day we didn't play those silly things. No, we had better things to do, like survive." So the major question is, why is Pokemon so successful? To find out, we must go to the source, the games, the original ones, not those terrible spin-offs that can barely be considered games. The best example of the first games is Pokemon Yellow for the Game Boy. Pokemon Yellow combined what made Red and Blue so great, amplifying it to a whole nother level. The graphics were updated, and as was the sound. The opening was much cooler, and Pikachu loves attention, and surfing? Yellow just felt more refined than the other two. In Red and Blue, if you didn't have friends, you didn't have the coolest Pokemon, and there was no way for you to complete your goal of catching them all. You can't even evolve Kadabra into Alakazam. That's a low blow, game designers, come on. However, in Yellow, playing solo felt a lot better. Yellow version has you playing as a more Ash Ketchum-like avatar, while before you were merely naming a young lad and imposing yourself onto the character. This remains the same in Yellow, but there are more specific events that make the game feel more like a story. You fight off against Team Rocket's losers Jesse and James, your first partner is Pikachu, and most importantly, all of the original started Pokemon can be acquired throughout the game. This changed everything. No longer did you have to settle for one awesome Pokemon, you could have all three, plus Pikachu. Another thing that makes Pokemon awesome is the amount of Pokemon there are. The first generation introduced 151 monsters to collect in battle, each of them with their own attacks, strengths, and weaknesses. If you think 151 is a staggering number, each game adds almost as many, if not more. In the most recent games, Black and White, catching them all is a bigger gaming feat, even though there's hardly any skill involved. It takes a lot of time and patience to trade for them all. With Pokemon came merchandise and a media explosion. Kids could purchase their favorite Pokemon in plushie form, play the card game, and watch the cartoon. Being a Pokemaniac is more of a lifestyle than being a normal fan. It's easy to get sucked into the black hole that is Pokemon. Personally, I think that most things Pokemon related are pretty lame and ride too much on the fame of the franchise for their success. Seriously, the cartoon is stupid. Does Ash really never learn that electric-type attacks don't work on rock-type Pokemon? That's the first thing you learn in Yellow version. You go to the first gym, you begin the battle against Brock's bratty minions, you order the rat to use Thundershock on Geodude, and it doesn't work. In the first few moments of the game, it teaches you that there are specific weaknesses and strength for each Pokemon. Why doesn't Ash learn this? In fact, why does he never age? Why does he send all of his awesome Pokemon to Oak when he enters a new region? Is Mr. Mime and Miss Ketchum, why does Ash own a whole herd of Tauros? Is he running a beef monopoly in Pallet Town? Nintendo discovered another great formula with these games. I think what makes Pokemon Yellow so successful is its addictive RPG mechanics, massive creature roster, and nods to the franchise as a whole. Also, this style of gameplay is well placed on the Game Boy, easy to pick up, play for a while, and put down. Raising and catching monsters is not only a blast, but it's simple and fun. That's the way gaming should be sometimes. You don't have to make games complicated. With Donkey Kong fresh in my mind, I realized that it has only two buttons aside from the directional movements, jump and roll. Granted, the game makes you learn the most complicated intricacies of that system, but hey, it's simple on paper. Pokemon Yellow is one of the best games to have for the Game Boy, giving the player a pocket full of monsters and adventure. If you haven't played this particular version, I recommend that you pick it up. It is probably one of the best Pokemon games ever made. Pokemon Yellow, the best of the first generation, has become a classic in my eyes. Forever classic.